opposed to this angled line for the contour, then we're really close. But you know, I'm gonna do it just a little bit more. All right, so let's just select this again, and we're just gonna scale it up a little bit more. All right. Okay, and once that's scaled up, let's go down to the next digit. And so we really have this one overscaled. So let's just bring this one back a little bit. And we want this one, oh, it's gonna have to go back a lot. And we might have to rotate it more. And scale it. That looks like it could be good. No, that needs to be scaled down a little bit more. That looks pretty good. That looks pretty centered. All right, now you can work on the tip of the finger. And you just want this to kind of be conformed to where the finger is. So I'm just going to rotate this up a little bit. And that's pretty much it. I don't need to do anything else with that. It's fairly centered with how it is. We could go in here and rotate this out on our y-axis a little bit to get this to be aligned a little bit better. It looks like it's pretty good. So let's save our file before we start doing that. And let's save another version. I'm going to save as number 3. Sometimes you can do this as an auto save where you can do auto version saves on every time you press it. I don't really like doing that. That's when you'll get into like, I'm on save 57 and you really haven't done much to you know, justify having that many saves. You're just taking up more space on your computer. So I like to save incrementally on the file I'm using, but I like to save up on a version when I'm like, okay, yeah, I made a pretty good change I want to save. Right now we're still kind of finding out what it is we want to do with things, so I just kind of save that in the same file. So this is, I think this is snapping. There's a snap on my rotation, I think. But I can always go in and do it manually. So that looks pretty good. It looks pretty good. I like that. This looks like it's moved down a little too much for the pivot. Yeah, and let's rotate this one back down. Yeah, I like that. All right. Now for this mesh, you can scale that mesh down. I'm just going to leave it like that. That's fine. I'm going to leave it like that. Just because. So we'll do save. And now that's one finger down. Now you got to do the 4 other fingers. And this takes time, man. Rigging takes time. So let's jump over to our next finger. Let's rotate this down. We already know we need to move it to here. Here's our pivot for our finger. So we need to scale this. Pretty much can scale that down. This arrow represents where that pivot's going to be. So there's that. Move down to the middle joint. Let's rotate. All right, and then we're gonna want to scale this down. But as you become more competent with this, it's gonna get faster. You're gonna get really fast with it, and then you'll know exactly what you need to do. Let's scale that again. All right, that looks good. This one looks like it needs to be rotated on the Y axis. Oof, too much. Just a little bit. Yeah, that's better. All right, so let's make sure that this, let's rotate this down. We gotta rotate this on our Z axis more. Nice. All right. Well, that looks good. Let me move it back a little bit. Now let's go back to our middle finger. The middle joint on the middle finger, and rotate that down. It needs to be up a little bit more still, so we can scale that more. There's our joint right there, our pivot. Yeah, see, this is turned a little bit. Now you can break this finger and turn that in to match it more. Again, it's all in how you want to do it, but just know if you turn this joint in like that, because your hand might be like that. I think I just popped my finger a little bit. If you turn, oh yeah, I am popping it. I feel it. If you turn your joint in, when you bend it, your finger is gonna be like this instead of it being, like kind of bent normal. It's gonna have a weird bend to it, and it's gonna make it harder when you have to make a fist, because now you're gonna have to break that joint to make a fist, which could be okay, but it's something more that you're gonna have to be concerned about. So I wouldn't recommend breaking your finger joints like crazy. I'm probably gonna feel that in the morning. That's gonna suck. I'm like, why is my hand all achy? So yeah, so let's select this again. I think I want to rotate it a little bit more, and hopefully you're following along with this. And the time it's taking me to do this, it may take you a little bit longer once you're getting into it, but I'm doing this so you can see, the adjustments and how meticulous you really need to be in order to get the fidelity for later when you start animating. So I'm going to rotate this on Y a little bit more. Yeah, there we go. Just make sure those pivots are in the right spot is all I'm cared about right now. All right, this looks like it's coming out the right spot. Looking at this, it looks like it's still too low. So I'm gonna actually go back here and scale that down a little bit more. Excuse me. And then I'm gonna go back to the tip of this joint, and I'm gonna scale this up so that it fits to the finger a little bit better. All right. Yeah, I like that better. All right, same thing with this one. Let's go back to our middle finger. This looks like it's in a good spot. Scale it a little bit more to bring that pivot point up a little bit. That looks pretty good. Rotate this out a little bit. Yeah, see, that's not bad. Oh, let me see. I think this one can go back up a little bit more. Look at the Z. There's the Z pivot on it. So let's scale this down a little bit. There you go. That looks good. That looks better. All right. Go back to that middle joint. rotate this out a little bit. And then we can scale this one up a little bit too so it fits better on the tip of the finger. But then we're going to want to rotate this down, which makes me feel like I want to rotate this top joint more. Yeah, let's do that. Do that. Do that. Those pivots look pretty good. I'm just going back to this one. I just want to make sure that this is good. I want to scale this one back down a little bit more because it doesn't need to stick out that far from the finger. All right, save your file. It's looking good. Let's go to our ring finger. Now for the ring finger, I don't want to move. I don't want to move this down a little bit because I like where the metacarpal's falling, and I want to keep that kind of zeroed out where it's at. So same thing on this one. Let's scale this one up a little bit more. Let's go into, oh, do not set keys. Undo that. S sets a key. So if you hit that, there's two ways you can get rid of that. You can go down to your timeline and right click and, you know, delete. Boop. It'll delete any keys on that frame, or you can just undo. So what I did was I did Control Z to undo to get rid of those keys. Sometimes when you're moving your fingers fast along the keyboard, you'll end up hitting that key and setting the key, stroking the key on an S when you're going from like your W's to your D's and stuff like that. So let's rotate. We're going to rotate this down. See where this pivot is at. I'm zooming in by holding down Alt on the keyboard and right click hold, and then just move the mouse left and right. You can zoom in. To rotate around, it's Alt and left click. So I think we need to scale this a little bit more. That looks pretty good. All right, let's see what this looks like up here. That looks fine. Let's rotate our next joint. So again, you can use those green arrows to help you out with where the pivots are. I'm going to scale this down. That looks good. See, that pivot looks like it's not in the right spot, looking at it like that now. Scale that like that, and then scale this one back down. Here we go. That needs to be rotated more though. So we'll rotate this. I feel like saving. Save your file. And I think after I get the pinky where I want it, I'm going to version up. Don't want to take no chances. All right, so that looks good. Now let's work on this rotation. I think I want to bring this one back a little bit more. Again, you want this to conform to your fingers as best as possible. It's going to make your life a whole hell of a lot easier once you start animating your character. If they're not in the right spot, you're gonna hate it because you're gonna have to do it over. But that's fine. I would hope that you're taking this and you do it a few times before you move on to the next video, because it's important to learn how to do this, and a lot of this is just coming from repetition, to be honest.